There is one saying in AA, that jingle jangle kind of things they say, those little sayings, that I can't stand. And it's, there for the grace of God go I. I gotta tell you, that as a person with long-term sobriety who relapsed and could not get back to the AA program, I hated that saying. I still see it now. I see it on these pages. People will say, oh, I relapsed. Oh, there for the grace of God go I. Don't say that. That is not helpful. You know, I remember after I relapsed, I came back to my club room and women's meetings, and I was coming in there, and I said, I raised my hand as a newcomer, and I'd say, oh my God, I'm drinking, I can't stop, I need help. And I had long-term sobriety, and I'd helped a lot of women, so it was like, people got like, people were like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here so I can see what I don't want to do. What? That is a horrible thing to say to someone who is dying and is trying to save their life. Don't tell me that, right? A couple women cried. Don't cry. I'm crying. I need you to help me. What do I do? There for the grace of God go I. Oh my God, that's not helpful. It's not helpful if you're trying to get sober. It's not. You know, what is helpful is telling me what I can do to do this. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I had long-term sobriety, and I've been thinking about it a lot this morning. You know, I have people that reach out to me and say they like my videos, and they've been, you know, I've helped a lot of people. I've helped people that have been to treatment centers for 15, 20 times, right? I mean, 20 treatment centers, think about it. They just can't get it, or they can't get back. So I was thinking about what was it that finally got me to come back. First thing is I found a group that was talking about the disease of alcoholism. They knew more about alcoholism than anybody I'd ever known. In fact, I couldn't believe that I'd been sober the whole entire first hunk of my life, and I just thought it was the drinking. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. And until I understood what was wrong with me, then I could treat it on a daily basis with a spiritual answer, as outlined in the program of recovery in the first 164 pages of the book. It was not that difficult. But this is the problem. If you've been to AA and you've been trying and trying and trying, and you relapse and relapse and relapse, or you've been to 20 treatment centers, or your parents were in AA and you grew up in AA, whatever that is, where you think you know the answer, right? You know. I know what to do. That was the problem. After I relapsed, I had done the steps, and I had taken women through the steps, right? So there I was drinking. I didn't realize what I had done was work the steps backwards, right? I backed up from the program. The program didn't back up from me. And I ended up drinking again. I failed to enlarge my spiritual condition. That's why you drink again. And I remember when I was drinking, I couldn't quit, and I had to quit. I was losing everything. It was going bad fast, right? So I decided I was going to send away to Hazleton for these step worksheets, and I was just going to take myself through the steps again, right? I had done it before. I could do it again. I was going to go back to 7 a.m. How I got sober was I went to 7 a.m. meetings. I went to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I was going to just do the steps again. I was just going to get sober again. I know how to do this. Well, guess what? I didn't. I couldn't, and it didn't work. And I was desperate. And it wasn't until I let go of all my ideas. Unfortunately for me and a lot of people, the only thing that got me to let go of all my ideas was complete annihilation of everything good in my life, desperation of the physical, financial, spiritual, romantic, emotional, whatever level of desperation there was. That was me. I had burned it all down. And then I finally, and even then I went in with my own ideas. I went to this group and had my own ideas. But these people were tough, and they told me, you know what, if your ideas would have worked, you wouldn't be in this spot. You got bad ideas. The thought that your mental illness, alcoholism, that mentally ill mind is going to fix a mentally ill mind is crazy. You're nuts. And I was like, no, I'm not. Yes, I was. The problem with being mentally ill is most of the time you don't know you're mentally ill. You know? You're in a delusion. You can rationalize everything, excuse everything, blame everybody. It takes a lot to get through. In the book, it talks about alcohol beat me into a state of reasonableness, right? So I had to get through the ego. I had to admit, even though I knew I'd taken people through the steps, I'd done the steps before, it worked before, it was not working this time. I could not get my spiritual connection back. And I'm telling you, that's terrifying. That's more terrifying than losing your home, your car, your IRA, is when you've lost touch with that spiritual connection, if you've had one. It's a terrible, terrible spot. That's when you're at the jumping off point. So I want to talk to the alcoholics out there who are trying over and over and over and over to get sober. You can get sober. I did it. I've got long-term sobriety again. Yay, right? Only because I let go of all my ideas and I started over and I listened and I took direction, and every time my mind went, I know this. I already know this. I read this. I know this by heart. I know the acceptance, I know where it's at in the book. I had to stop that. I had to be open-minded, right? I also desperately needed discipline, desperately in the beginning, to get sober again. And what I did was this. Now, the group that I went to had this set up for me. So, thank God. They know so much about treating alcoholism on this level that this group helps like the worst of the worst get sober. They have a really solid answer, and they're big book people. This is it, right? The simple program for complicated people. So they had already set this up, and it worked for me. 2 meetings a day. Now, a lot of people are going to go, oh my God, 2 meetings a day. That seems a little severe. No, severe is losing your house and losing your cars and losing your job and being unemployable and becoming homeless and jeopardizing your health. All of your family quits talking to you. Your children hate you, right? That's severe. Let's be perfectly clear. That's severe. That's severe alcoholism. Now, I guarantee that you spend more than if you go to an hour meeting in the morning and an hour meeting at night. That's 2 hours. I guarantee you spent more than 2 hours a day looking after your alcoholism when you were drinking and using. So don't give me that seems pretty severe, okay? I had a severe illness. I need a severe answer. And that was it. And now that I do it all the time. And I'm one of the busiest women you could probably ever meet. I am so busy. And I do 2 meetings a day. And that doesn't even seem like anything. That's just like brushing my teeth now, right? That's just in my routine. I think it's like when you first go on a diet, it seems really, really hard, right? And you don't want to go to pizza with the family because you're going to want pizza, right? So you stay away from the pizza. Eventually, you get this routine down. You start losing weight. You feel good about yourself. You're identified with the fact that you eat well. And so you're okay. You move around, and it becomes a second habit. You got to make it second nature, right? But in the beginning, it's like, I'm never going to eat. My whole life is over, right? It's kind of it's the same idea. At first it feels awkward. But instead of building what is that saying? It's so true. Is that I had to, instead of putting AA in my life, I put my life into AA. I built my life around the meetings. I went to 2 meetings a day. I went to a 7 a.m. meeting and I went to a 5:30. Right before work and right after work, right? And when I was really new, I left at lunch and went to a 12:15 because I was trying to come back from this relapse. So I go to 2 meetings a day. They're bookends to my day. That's how I start and end my day. And that's where new people are. That's where people that need help are. That's why I go to meetings now. I don't go to get help. I go to give help. I go to keep the doors open, right? I didn't just get mine and take off like a lot of people do when they get out of treatment, right? I'm good. See ya. See you at the reunion. No. People need help. Where do they go? They go to AA, right? So I still do that. I go to 2 meetings on Zoom, even though in the pandemic. I go to a morning meeting and an evening meeting, and that's where people need help, and I take people through the steps. I get people help on Zoom. I keep the Zoom meetings open. I donate in the basket. I keep actively involved. I had to get in the center of the herd. Immediately, the group I was in, not only 2 meetings a day, right? I created my life around that. I started helping immediately. In my group, as soon as you do the first step, you can take someone else through the first step. So I was busy right off the bat. And I took service commitment in my club room. I do now. I host the meetings. I host some Zoom meetings. I'm responsible. I show up. I'm in the center of the herd, right? This is my life. Nothing I have in my life I would have if it wasn't for AA. Now, I have a whole life going on besides AA, right? But I wouldn't have that if I didn't have AA. You got to get that clear in your head, right? You don't get sober, do the steps, and then put AA on the side and move on. Okay, I'm good. I've got to go. No, you have a mental illness that has to be treated. When I first got sober, this woman said to me, I said, oh my God, I need to understand what happened. When did I relapse? They say the relapse happens way before. When did that happen? What happened? Where was I? She said to me, I'll save you some time. The reason you relapsed was you failed to enlarge your spiritual condition. That's it. It says it in the book. At some point, you started working the steps backwards. You quit helping. You quit praying, right? You started blaming again. You took your will back, and you started to play God. Not a big surprise, people. It's not. Simple program, but you got to get rid of your own ideas. Be open-minded. Open-minded willingness and honesty are indispensable. Do you know what that means, indispensable? When you go to the pharmacy, they dispense you drugs, right? Open-mindedness, willing, and honesty, I can't give you. They're indispensable. You have to come with those yourself. And you might think you're open-minded, and you might think you're willing, but think about it. I just gave you a suggestion. Yesterday I posted something about pages 86, 87, and 88, reading those morning and evening pages. If you're so open-minded and willing, did you read those this morning? Did you read the pages last night? Right? Are you willing to find 2 meetings today that'll work out in your busy schedule? Right? Can you find that and do that and just start taking direction? Or are you going to say, no, you don't understand. I've been sober before. I know I am. I don't need 2 meetings. I get it.